Welcome, welcome to the Mind Fuck Podcast. Yay! Welcome once again, my friend. My name is Wanu Alishe, and sometimes I do go by Amazing Soul. Thank you so much for taking time out to hang out with me. I am really grateful you're here. FCK stands for fun, compassion, and kindness. And we have like a mini tradition that we do on the show before each episode where I have a list where I titled the list Reminders to Being Human. And the intention of reading that list before the show is to remind myself and also in the hopes of reminding you on your journey. All right, let's get into it. Reminders to being human. Have fun along the journey. Show yourself compassion. Be kind to others. Being complex and being simple can hold true in the same breath. Stay curious. Hold space for pauses. Hold space for not knowing. Never underestimate the power of silence. Nature has a lot of wisdom. Pay attention. There is power in we than I. If nothing else makes sense, come back to love. Pain is our greatest teacher. And the very last one, never underestimate your ripple of existence. Welcome once again, my friend. Now let's get into the fun part of the show. All right. I want to start today with something that feels simple, but has been one of the hardest shifts of my adult life. What happens when you stop attacking yourself? Not when you become perfect, not when you finally get it together, not when your life looks regulated and impressive from the outside. No. But when you actually stop the internal attack. I mean, when you stop using your own mind as a weapon against your body. Because if I'm honest, for a long time, I didn't even realize I was attacking myself. I literally thought I was motivating myself. I thought I was being disciplined. I thought I was holding myself accountable. And underneath all that was a lot of self-judgment. It was pressure. It was telling myself you should be further along by now. It was telling myself, damn, why am I still struggling with this? You know? And the nervous system doesn't interpret that as growth. It interprets that as a threat. You see, my friend, self-judgment is very sneaky. I mean, it often sounds responsible, it sounds mature, it sounds productive. But most of the time, it is a survival strategy. I mean, a part of you that learned somewhere along the way that self-criticism keeps you safe. A part of you that learned maybe if you judge yourself first, no one will. No one else will. A part of you that learned maybe if you push hard enough, You will finally be enough. A part of you that learned if you attack the weak part of yourself, they will disappear. I'll tell you from my journey, I learned that very early as a child because growing up, I was tagged the defiant child, a child that questioned everything, a child that pushed back, a child that didn't naturally conform. And in my environment, that didn't always land well. Discipline was used, control was used, and correction was constant. So my nervous system learned something very specific. It is safer to monitor yourself than to be corrected by someone else. So what my nervous system did is I internalized the authority. I mean, I became my own drill sergeant long before the army ever trained me. And the army just refined what was already there. I mean, you perform, you endure, you push through pain, you don't complain, and you stay strong. I will tell you this, those skills kept me alive in certain environments, but they became destructive when I did not know how to turn them off. When I left the army, there was no external structure anymore. I mean, there was no rank, there was no early morning formation, no clear metrics for good enough. And that's when I realized how loud my internal structure was. I mean, back then, if I woke up tired, the voice said, "You're being lazy." I mean, if I literally needed a nap, I had a voice in my head saying, "This is weak." If I felt emotional, I would tell myself, "You need to get it together." And here's what I didn't understand at that time. You cannot regulate a nervous system that is constantly being attacked. It doesn't matter how much breath work you do. It doesn't matter how many cold plunges you take. It doesn't matter how many affirmations you repeat. If the baseline tone inside your mind is hostile, you will never fully feel safe. And you see, for me, my friend, that shift for me did not happen dramatically. And it wasn't some enlightened moment. It was so much smaller, so much ordinary. I mean, it was probably one night again at 3 a.m., unable to sleep. And instead of telling myself, "What is wrong with you?" Right? I tried something else. I said to myself internally, "This makes sense. Oh, this makes sense." That was it. No fixing, no reframing, no positivity. Just, huh, this makes sense. I see why I am up at this time of the night. I'll tell you, my body did not immediately relax, no, but it stopped bracing more. Whew. And that was new information to my nervous system. So the next time the judgment came, I tried something else. I simply started noticing the tightness in my chest, right? Just noticing it, being observant of the sensation. And that practice, noticing without attacking, became foundational for me. 90 seconds at a time. Sometimes I would do that small 90 seconds 10 times a day. Not trying to calm myself, not trying to transcend the feeling. No, just not attacking that sensation. And over time, something started to soften. You see, my friend, here's what happens when you stop attacking yourself. First, your body begins to trust you. I know that might sound dramatic, but it's not. Because if every time you feel fear, you shame yourself. If every time you feel anger, you suppress it. If every time you feel tired, you override your body is learning that it is not safe to express itself here. But when you soften and you say to yourself, "I see you, I see you, I see you," something shifts. Your system stops preparing for the next internal blow, and that frees up a lot of energy. The second thing, your perception changes. You see, when I was in constant self-judgment, everything looked like proof of failure. If I had a dysregulated day, I'll tell myself I'm regressing. If I had a difficult conversation, I'll tell myself I handled it wrong. But when the internal attack started to soften, I could see the nuance. I could see progress inside the imperfection. I could hold paradox. I mean, I would tell myself, I know I'm struggling right now, and I am growing. Both of those statements can be true. The third thing that happens is you make different decisions. I mean, this particular one surprised me the most. I used to think self-criticism made me sharper. But when I noticed is that self-judgment made me reactive. When I attacked myself, I made urgency-based decisions, right? I mean, I kept pushing harder. I kept trying to fix more things in my life. I kept trying not to allow anyone externally see the cracks, right? But when I softened, I could feel the difference literally in my body between urgency and agency. And I'll tell you right now, agency feels steady. Urgency feels panicked. And softening gave me access to agency. Let me give you a very practical example. There was a season in my life where my sleep was improving very slowly. I mean, from, from 2 to 4 hours to 4 hours, then 5. But some nights I would regress. I mean, the old pattern would try to come back. And instead of telling myself, see, you're back to square one, instead of spiraling, I practiced, okay, I'm awake tonight. That's okay. Right? I mean, sometimes I would get up, drink some water, but not punish myself. Do you know what that simple act did for me over time? It removed the second layer of suffering. I mean, the first layer might be insomnia. The second layer used to be self-attack. When I removed the second layer, the first one became manageable. And over months, not days, my sleep started to stabilize. Not because I forced it, because I stopped fighting myself. That's it. You see, my friend, softening is not the same as letting yourself off the hook. I need to make that very clear here. This is a very important distinction. Softening does not mean no accountability, no growth, no standards. No, 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 no. Softening means growth without hostility. It means accountability without shame. It means setting standards for yourself rooted in self-respect, not fear. You see, my friend, there's a difference between I can do better and I'm not enough. There's a huge difference. One is developmental and the other one is destructive. And I'll tell you right now, your nervous system knows the difference. I want to say this to you very gently. Sometimes self-judgment feels righteous, right? Especially if you grew up in an environment where excellence was the currency of love, or where mistakes were met with correction instead of curiosity, or where your emotions were labeled as too much, right? In those type of environments, self-attack becomes a form of self-protection. I mean, you constantly attack yourself before anyone else can. So when you start to soften, it can feel unsafe at first. I remember feeling exposed when I stopped judging myself. Like I was lowering my guard, like I would become lazy or complacent. But the opposite happened. I became more consistent. I became more honest. I became more creative because my energy wasn't being burned on internal war. You see, there is also grief in this process. Grief for how long I had been so hard on myself. Grief for the younger version of me who thought she had to be perfect to be safe. Grief for the nights I lay awake thinking something was wrong with me. Softening sometimes bring tears because you start to realize how much pressure you were carrying unnecessarily. And if that's you right now, my friend, I want to remind you, there's nothing wrong with you. Absolutely nothing is wrong with you. Your system simply adapted. It did what it had to do to survive, to keep you safe. But you don't have to live there anymore. Here's a practical starting point if you want to experiment with this, right? Next time you notice self-judgment, don't try to eliminate it. No. Just simply ask yourself from a place of curiosity, what is this protecting me from? Excuse me. Self-judgment is usually guarding something tender, right? Self-judgment is usually guarding fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being seen, fear of being ordinary. And when you meet that fear, instead of attacking it, just meet it with curiosity. Softening started to happen. You start to soften. Another simple practice you can try, my friend, is change the tone, not the content, right? Instead of telling yourself, I messed that up, I'm terrible at this, try this instead. Well, that didn't go how I hoped. What can I learn from this? Do you see? Same situation, different nervous system response. And your body always feels the difference. I'll tell you, today I still catch myself judging myself. And this isn't, I have transcended it story. No, I'm still human, right? Even when sometimes I post something vulnerable online, on social media, there's a voice that still whispers, that was too much. Sometimes when I rest, it says, you should be doing more, Wano. But now, the difference is, I notice it faster. And instead of attacking the voice, I just soften towards that voice. And I said to myself, oh, you're trying to keep me safe. Oh, I see. It's okay. And that shift alone has changed the quality of my life because my inner world right now feels less hostile. And when your inner world softens, the outer world starts to feel less threatening too. So, what happens when you stop attacking yourself? You don't become weak, no. You become regulated. You become clearer. You don't lose your edge, no. You lose unnecessary suffering. And that creates space. I mean, space for creativity, space for rest, space for relational freedom, space for actual growth in your life. I'll leave you with this, my friend. If your body has a voice right now and it could speak honestly, Would your body say it feels supported by you or monitored? Would your body say it feels safe with you or evaluated? There's no shame in the answer. It's just information. That's it. Just out of curiosity. No shame at all here. Softening out of self-judgment is not a one-time decision. No. It's a daily micro choice. A choice to respond instead of attacking yourself. A choice to notice instead of shaming yourself. A choice to be human instead of trying to be perfect. And in my personal experience, that softening is where your real strength lives. As always, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for listening. And I'm sending you so much love from my heart to yours. Thank you.